Hello everyone. Okay, so today we will be seeing about some more Selenium locators. That is, it's about the radio buttons, how we can handle a radio button by using Selenium. Then how we can deal with the checkboxes, and then drop downs. Like as we discussed, what is a drop down where we can select your like gender, so male, female, or you don't want to like opt for something, and then frames. What is a frame? So these are the certain Selenium low, what you call the web elements, and we will see how we can automate these kind of like web browser elements. So just to recap what exactly we learned in the last session: how to handle the text box, how to get the data from a text box, then buttons, what is the button events, that is the click event or something, then list boxes where we can select multiple options, one or multiple options by. Okay, so now today we will be seeing something more interesting, that is all about your radio buttons, checkboxes, drop down options, and then frames. So let me quickly go and open my Eclipse. So now the same one of the dummy controls, we need to look into this. So now as you see here, these are nothing but your what you call the radio buttons. So radio buttons, one concept behind the radio button is that any one of these options can be selected at one time. Now let me go and access the Firebug here. So if you can see now clearly, it determines what it is. So now how do you identify if a element is a radio button? Okay, so you can see here, by seeing this you can get to know. So this is nothing but your label. Then here it starts, the type is radio. So any input which type is radio, then you will come to know that it's a radio button. Okay, the values are nothing but your this 1 2 3. You can see here it is 2, here it is 3, and the values are here. This is nothing but the text displayed, and this is nothing but the value. Like yesterday, you remember we had learned how to do like select by value, select by index, select by visible text. So these things. So this is nothing but your visible text. This is nothing but your value. Okay, so now my Eclipse got opened. I hope yes, it got opened, but it's still running. Okay, so any one of this. Now how do we handle this? So the funda behind handling a radio button is that initially you need to identify this particular inputs. So now here if you see, now one thing you should observe, now the value is different but they have the same name. Okay, same name and same type. This is what determines, this is what allows your HTML to uniquely select either one, because if you select 5 then the 6 will be unchecked. So that is what you need to see here. It's still running. So the same thing, how it happened yesterday, I don't know. Okay, let me open again. Okay, so now let me open and let me copy the list box yesterday which we created, so that quickly we can. Okay, so radio test, let's say radio button text, radio button. Okay, so now if you see here, the name is experience. So by using experience input, I can able to identify any one of these element. So now let it create the class. Okay, so now quickly open the class and then edit as required to handle that. Okay, so now I need till here. Okay, I don't need these things, so let's. Okay, so let's disable these things. I don't need this much. So first thing what I need to do, I need to identify that element. Okay, so let's say that radio equal to driver dot find element by name. Okay, because name is unique across that. Okay, name experience, this should be my. Okay, so I am able to identify the radio, that radio buttons. Okay, so I will say, let's say something unique name, so that we can use that later. Now what happens, see, when I say name equal to experience, it's not only one object. If you see here, 1 2 3 4, so like there are number of values, I mean number of radio buttons are there by with the name experience. Now what we need to do, so this val contains all the radio buttons. Now how do we get it? Now if you remember the collection, what do you call, the collection framework, there is something called as a list. So in that we will now accumulate all the radio buttons inside val. Okay, inside my val. Now here what I need to do, till now we saw only find element only, but today we will be seeing something find elements, because we are not here we are not identifying one element, we are identifying a number of radio buttons. Okay, so number of radio buttons, by using what we will put XPath. I'll tell you why we are putting a XPath here. The reason is that, so here if you see under this, so here if you see type equal to radio, so all these types are radio. So let's say that here what is that input, like your normal as usual XPath expression. What is XPath expression? Double quote starts input, then what happens, square bracket starts, then what I am trying to do, type I am going to do. Now what is the type? In single quote I need to mention as a radio. Okay, so let's this much only, right? And then double click here. Okay, is it done? Yes. So let's see where is the error. Input type radio. Okay, so it's asking one more. Okay, so now what happens, so till now we seen how to identify single element by using find element, but here we are giving like find elements. So whenever you are doing find elements, you should use XPath. Okay, because a type, we don't have any such type locator as a type. We have name, I mean what I am talking here, if you see driver dot find element by dot, you can see you are not seeing type as a function, type as a method. So you need to use, I told you earlier, if you could not able to identify by id, name or anything, directly you can use type. Okay, so now what happens, I got, so radios is nothing, radios will contain all your what do you call radio buttons. Now as usual, put a advanced for loop and put a web element, because from radios element I want to grab each and every element in that. So radio colon radios, then now let me directly print this. Okay, so radio dot get attribute, because we have a get attribute. What is that value? If you see, we have each radio button have some or other values. Now let's see if it is working or not. So initially it will open with Chrome browser, it will invoke the URL, then it maximizes the URL, then it is identifying the what you call your radio buttons, then it will capture that into a list box. Okay, then it will list you all the values in each radio buttons values. Okay, so it's throwing some error. What is that error? Why type equal to radio? It's thrown error. Are there any mistake we done here? Input, okay, input is correct, then type as an attribute equal to radio. Now why it is throwing error? Find elements, web element, why? So it's throwing at this, let me see. This is mistake. Inside that there is an extra closing bracket. Okay, so hopefully this will not throw error. Okay, it invoked the URL maximized, then we will see now if it is coming. Yes, see, you can see all the values, we got it. Now once we, now here we can get it. So if you are not understanding, let me know that. Okay, so I'm just putting one session each. So now here we saw how we can able to grab all the values from that, because by using that only we can see. So now let's say there is a requirement which says that like what is your years of experience. Let's say that your experience is 5 years, so you need to select this. So what you need to do, initially identify that particular element, and then directly you can what do you call it, loop it, and see that if there is a radio button value is 5, then click on that. Now we will see that. Okay, so now what is that value for 5? Let's again quickly go to and see the console. So for 5, the F5VE, the value is 5. Now let's again quickly go to this advanced for loop, web element, radio, then colon radios, then okay, now here what we need to do, we need to compare something. We need to first initially condition, we need to put a condition. What is that? If radio dot get attribute and value, value dot contains. Okay, yesterday we saw contains something. If it is 5, because my experience is 5, so if it is 5 years, then click on that. So what you can do, okay, if it is, then click on that. Okay, then click that radio dot click. If it is matching 5, then you click on that. Okay, now what happens, we need to see if it got clicked or not, or if it checked or not, that one. Okay, now once it is coming out of the loop, so this is ifs loop, right? Now we'll see now you clicked on 5, but if you are doing manual testing, you will click on that fifth radio button and you will say that okay, it got clicked properly. But while you are automating, you are not seeing that. Like yesterday we saw how you entered the text and again grab that text to see if it is matching to your requirement or not. So the same thing, now we will print something here to match if the radio if that element got clicked or not. How you can see, so we will initially say that so here what we need to do again, so in one only I will say, so now click that. After clicking again, verify if that is checked or not. So radio button, now what is the radio button value? Now here I can get it, radio button value. Okay, radio button value plus print if it is checked or not. Okay, so I'll just put a space here, and then there is a function, or there is a method called get attribute. Then you need to see if it is checked or not, because if you see here, if I take to the fifth element, quickly observe this. So if I'm going here, if you see here, where is 5? Okay, so here you can see radio button 5. Okay, so I'm comparing 5. If it is clicked, then you get that. Okay, so now let's see if it is coming or not. Let's run this. So it invoked the application. Okay, see, it selected fifth, but we need to see 5 equal to true, means if it is checked, so 5 radio button is checked, so that is true, it is returning. If it is checked, then it is doing that. Okay, so by seeing that if it is true, then you got to know that okay, fifth radio button got clicked because it contains it clicked on this, and then it is done. Now in real time, what you need to do, always you look through all the radio buttons. The funda is initially you just grab that particular element where it is staying. Under that you can directly go to the find elements, and then you grab all the web elements whose type equal to radio. Once you got it, then put a advanced for loop, and then whatever the actions you can perform, you can check it here. Even there is another like what you call method is there, through which you can get to know if it is checked or not. So there is something called as each selected. So each selected is a function, you can use that. Instead of radio dot get attribute checked, you can even put radio dot is selected. So it means that it will return you if it is true or false. So returns true if checked, okay, else false. Okay, so you can try this by using instead of that. So this is all about your radio buttons. Okay, so now once we covered the radio button, then we need to see the next one, that is my checkboxes. See, now checkboxes and list boxes, what is the difference between these two? List boxes, you can select multiple options inside that. Even checkboxes, see checkbox you need to check it. These are the you need to check it. List boxes, what you can do, you select these things, but these are nothing but you can check something. Okay, you would have seen in your like forgot password or something, there you will get a checkbox. So there might be more than one checkbox, there might be only one checkbox to select it. Okay, so now let's straightly get into the checkboxes, how we can deal with the checkbox. Okay, so now let's open this and quickly copy this and paste it here, and then checkbox test. Okay, where is checkbox? Now again delete all these things, I don't need all these things. Okay, now let's see what is a checkbox. Okay, so these are nothing but your checkboxes where you can check an element. Now open this with Firebug. So here you can see this is your level is skills. After that again this is the same for now only. Input ID, there is ID IP type equal to checkbox. So as we done there, here also we will do this, but here we will do something unique actually. There what happened, initially we went where is that, let's open this. See, initially we went to this, I mean initially we identified the radio, then I mean that particular radio button. Inside that we were able to, now what we will do in this case, we'll combine these two into one. Okay, because how, see, one simple thing how I can able to identify these checkboxes. One is the type should be checkbox and there is a unique name language. Why I'm using that, see, type equal to checkbox. If I only do that driver dot find element by XPath type equal to checkbox, now what happens, there might be hundreds of checkboxes in your whole page, but you want only this section checkboxes only. Now how do you uniquely identify this particular section only? By using this name. Now if you remember XPath, we can combine two conditions into one. Now let's quickly see that. So now what happens, web element, so now directly we will put inside a checkbox, inside a what do you call it, list box. Okay, so list, same thing, web element. See, even the checkboxes are nothing but individual elements, right? So checks, let's say that. Okay, checks is equal to directly driver dot find elements. Here we need to use because multiple elements we are getting. So by XPath, here we need to give a double expression. So here what is that, the tag is input, no doubt to that. So let's put input here, closing bracket, two we need to do. One is your type, equal to what, single quote checkbox, right? Let's copy it, don't want to take safe side, and this should be at the rate. See, another condition I'm appending to that condition as well. What is that, name equal to, I think, language, right? Let's copy this one also. So language. Okay, so now you can see in one way we put two conditions in this. Okay, so now let's see if it is working or not. So the same thing, what we need to do, we need to put a for loop again. Why we need to put a for loop? To get the individual checkboxes. Okay, so simple thing. Now what happens, the same as usual method only. What is that, web element, now say check colon checks. Okay, checks, try to understand the difference between all those things. Okay, so now here what happens, so I need to print the values as usual, like there I put those things, right? So check dot get attribute. Okay, get attribute value, same thing. Let's see. So we have value, right? Yes, we have values. Okay, so we have values now. Okay, initially I'm printing the values, and then what I am doing, let's say that I want to select maybe HTML as my skills. Okay, HTML is my skill. So now what we need to do, if condition, put it a if condition, if check dot get attribute colon value dot contains what is that HTML, then simple thing, what is that select that particular check dot click, check dot click. Okay, so click like your button here also we are selecting. Now once you check it, like as I told you, we have again something called as if it is checked or not. So let's print it if it is checked or not. So the same thing. Now let me grab this. It's all same only, just you need to understand the functionality of that. Like in radio buttons what happened, we only could able to select only one option. Here we can select multiple options. So check dot get attribute, and there is again something called as checked. Okay, so checked, it will return true or false. So now let's run it. Just let me know if I am too fast in writing or I mean under making it understanding, because everything is same. So I'm just trying to show you one practical usage of those things. So see, it selected, it opened the browser and it selected your HTML. Now the second thing what we need to do, we need to check it whether HTML got selected or not. So here, why it didn't print check dot get attribute value, where it came, yes, here you can see here. So it printed HTML and true, I didn't give any space, that's why it is coming. So okay, so even you can do one thing, if it is once it got checked, then you can put a break if you don't want to display anything. Okay, so it just gives you the value of that, and this is one part, you can leave it here. Okay, so you can do this multiple I mean things, even you can directly, so if you don't want those things, then you can directly go to this, inside this you can say, instead of HTML, let's say that you want to put your like as an automation testing, you can do that. Even if you don't want to compare anything, then directly you can say here check dot click, even you can, if you want to click all the options. Okay, so without any condition directly, so it will just loop here across that for loop, I mean all the check boxes, and it will continually, it will click one by one. So that is one way of doing that. Okay, so like this you can do one by one. Okay, okay, so any doubt so far with respect to this? Now this is all about your for loops. So let's say that if you want to multiple checkboxes, here we tried one checkbox or else all checkboxes. Now if you want to do a selective, now what you can do, directly you can go to the checks, then what you can do, there is an option get. So if you see, there should be something one index wise. Let's see if it is working or not. Believe it should work. I don't know why it is not coming. Okay, sorry, it is capital C, right? Capital C. So you can select even this way also. If you want to select, if you want to check specific check boxes, okay, check boxes, you can even. So here you can, if you want to first, second, like index wise, you can check these things as well. Okay, so you can try it yourself and let me know if it is not working. I'm just giving you all available methods in this Selenium to use those things. Okay, so this is all about your radio buttons, checkboxes, and there is something called as a drop down. Drop down is also simple, like as your list box only one thing is that you can select one at a time. In if you see in list box, here in list box what we did, we can select multiple, like if you would have seen here, everything we were checking it. I mean, if I don't give any condition here, if I say directly option dot click, then it will click all the available options. So in that, select, let me quickly copy this and paste it. So select, let's say combo box test. I mean, see, for drop downs, I can give multiple names like combo box, like drop downs, like select options. Even sometimes in a technical term we call it as a select also, so need not to confuse a lot. So I'm just giving you a drop down can have different names like select, like combo box. So any one of this terminology you can say, use that. Okay, so here if you see in my example here, select, this is nothing but your select or your drop down, where you can select any one of this option. Okay, like you're selecting your country, you're selecting your state, so those are nothing but your drop downs. Okay, so now it's all same, nothing much difference, but let me change this. So here if you see, the name is s gender. Okay, so let's go to name equal to s gender. So now I got my, okay, I got my select, then I'm putting inside a select class, then as usual I'm putting all the options, I'm gathering it. Okay, so now here what I am doing, the same for loop I will use it here. But here what I need to do, so let's see if I have a value. Yes, I have a value. Let's say I want to select male. So now what I will do here, if it is male, then select, then they select and come out of that. Okay, so let's quickly run this, then we will see the all available options at the down. Okay, see, this is not applicable. Make sure this is not applicable, not applicable for select element. Okay, or drop down element, because we cannot select multiple options. So this is what the difference from a checkbox. Okay, so now let's see if it is and again at the same time we can even see if it is selected or not, because everything we need to prove it if it is selected or not. Okay, so what we can do, option dot, so there is something is selected. If it is selected, then it will return you true. It's all same, actually it's all same, just you need to understand the HTML, what you call, functionality of that, where you can select multiple options, where you can select only one option, but the rest things are same, because Selenium made so easy and so reusability. See, it's selected male, and now we will see our output, see, male equal to true, it means it got selected, male got selected. Now the same thing we can here, these are also applicable. So here we can select by index, even we can select by value, or so we have something, value is female, right? There is options, yes, there is a female. So here I can go by female, I can go by visible text also, here this one. So here these both are not same. Okay, because if you see, your value is a small letter female, visible text what exactly you are seeing here, this is capital F. Okay, so like this you can do it as well. Okay, so now let's close this and even close this. Okay, so this is all about your combo boxes. So now we learned how to deal with your radio buttons, checkboxes, drop down or combo boxes. Now we'll see something called as frame. So this is again one more important what you call your browser element, because sometimes what happens in recent web browsers, what happens, they use certain frames. Inside that frame they are putting certain elements, because now whatever the element we saw here, these are nothing on a frame, these are not on a frame, these are all like in a what you call in a normal HTML only it is there. But if you observe, I mean, if you're writing something in your, so they give a frame. Inside that frame, they will put. So let's say I want to put this years of experience on a frame, on a panel actually, that one. So that time you cannot access directly like driver dot find element by like your name equal to experience, then the type equal to radio, and then do that action, because it has to be in a frame. If it is in a frame, then you need to first switch to that frame and then you try to access those browser elements. So for example, I made a small HTML page where it will list you all the frame related things. So if you open this web browser, for testing purpose I made this HTML page. So if you observe here, now this is, now if you see this pavilion, now let me go to here and try to execute this. So this link, now this link is not on a frame. If you see, this is a div, it's a div. On a div it is there, this one. How do you know? But category is not a normal link, it is on a frame. How do you know? Right click on this, you will see something here, this frame. This frame means it is on a frame actually. Okay, so this is one of the way. Make sure if you could not able to identify by using category 1, then you should see if it is on a frame or not. So quickly to see what will happen, if we directly try to click on this category, we'll see what is happening. If I click on this, so let's go to a frame. Okay, let's copy this one only, because I don't want to write every time the driver dot find element or driver equal to new Chrome driver. So what we are trying to do here, iframe test. Okay, where is iframe? Yes. So now I don't need all these things. Let's delete everything. Okay, so now the URL gets changed. Now what is the URL here? The URL is this one. Now select here, put this, okay, and here maximize the screen. Now let's directly try to get it, because normally we know, right, how we are clicking a link, you know, all right. So let me click on this and let me driver dot find element by link text. Something is link text. Okay, link text directly. If there is a category 1, then click it. Now let's see if it is clicking on the category or not. So in a normal way, if you don't know it is on a frame, then you are trying to execute that. So we'll see if it is executing that way or not. So it opened your browser, then it will invoke your particular application. And because of the block spot, it will be a bit slow here. Okay, it now let's see if it is clicking on the category 1 or not. I hope it didn't click it. It should throw error. Yes, see, it thrown error. Why? Because see where exactly it is throwing, because there is no such element, no such direct element called as category 1. So it is telling that they could not able to find this one. Now what could be the error? One is that is the element is not available. The element is available. There is no problem with the element. But what happens? There is something, no such element exception. Means element is there, but you cannot able to locate that element. Okay, why? See, you are seeing everything is available here, right? You can see that, you can identify that HTML, but still it is telling that you could not able to identify, because it's not a normal. It's on a iframe. You can see here on a iframe. How you will come to know? Because of this this frame. Now what we need to do, so Selenium given one option before executing, before clicking on this, there is some code what you can do, driver dot switch to dot frame. So something called as frame, you can switch to that frame, then inside that whatever the content is there, you can access those things. So now let's see, there are three. Now what is this? If you remember, there are three frame methods. If you remember Java sessions, what is this called? If multiple methods are at the same name, it is called as overloading, because same method acts for different purposes. Means you can give integer. So if you give integer, I want to switch to the first frame in that whole web page, but I don't want to do that way, because I want, even it will accept a string also. Now what is the name of that frame? Because see, I don't want to put it index wise, because sometimes what happens, I don't know if this is my first index or there are somewhere else also one more frame is there. I don't know those things. So that is why better I should go for a unique name. So even I can give a string inside this. If I enter a integer, then Selenium will understand this is index wise. The user is telling switch to the frame index wise. But if I'm giving a name or as a string, then it says that this is the name of that. Now let's see if it is accepting, if it is executing that or not. Before to that, let me give a test case. Let's say that I want to, now after, okay, now I went to this frame, I clicked on this category link. Okay, now let's see if it is executing or not. So it opened your web browser, then it is loading the page. See, it opened that. So it clicked on your this link. This link got clicked. You can see the color got changed. Okay. Now what happens? Whenever you are doing that, make sure if you are switching to frame and you are done with your what you call, with your whatever the testing you want to do, the next thing, make sure you need to again come out of that what you call, come out of that frame. Now there is something called as what is the default, are there anything default content? Okay, so default content means again come back to the normal, because if you want to perform anything, any other thing, then so to make sure, because you are inside the frame, then you can do whatever you want. Then you again come to the default content. If you come to default content, what will happen? Normal links you can access it. Okay, so due to that you should use these things. Okay, so this is all about your iframe. Simple concept. You should know how to, if any element, if this text or this button, if it is on an I mean, if you want to see here, see there is no frame text here, it means this is not on a frame. Directly you can deal with it. But I'll tell you, if it is Firefox, if it is Chrome, then you will get the, see here, reload frame. If you would have seen in Mozilla what it is, this is in this frame. By this text you can get to know this is on a frame. But if you are going to a Chrome, then it will be reload frame. So somewhere you should see a frame option, a frame word. If you want to right click on this, right click on this element, and if you see a frame, then it means that those elements are on a frame. Now let's see if pavilion is on a frame. No, it is not in a frame. See, you are not able to see any options as a frame. So by that you can able to identify. Okay, so this is all about your, I mean, this is just an I given one URL. And if you are finding any other what do you call, any other websites or any other demo sites where you are seeing frame or something, then you can try those as well. I mean, for today, for learning purpose, I given this link. In future I will be finding out some more what do you call, the web applications or web URLs where you can try and do more complex testing scenarios, or you can automate those things. Okay, so this is all about the today's agenda. which I had, and tomorrow we will go one step ahead with some more advanced topic of the Selenium. So I hope that will be more interesting to you people to that. Okay, so that's it guys for today. If you have anything, any other thing, then you can let me know now, or else you can send me an email so that I can reply you back. Okay, then see you guys again tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.